Hello and welcome. My name is Osman, though some of you might know me as the blind Muslim yogi. For the past 50 years, I've dedicated my life to the deepest levels of yoga and meditation. And today, we're going to tackle a really big question, probably the biggest one I hear. How on earth do you fit these ancient, powerful practices into our non-stop modern lives? We're going to look at a practical, realistic path forward.
Does this sound familiar? You absolutely love the idea of yoga or meditation. You hear about all the incredible benefits, but then you look at your calendar, at your to-do list, and you just think there is no way, not a chance. Trust me, you are not alone in feeling this way. That feeling that these practices demand a huge chunk of time you just don't have, well, it's probably the biggest thing that stops people before they even start. So let's get into it. Where does this idea of needing hours and hours every day even come from? Well, to really understand the challenge, we have to look at what the classical yoga texts say a perfect practice should look like. And I'll be honest with you, it's pretty demanding.
Okay, let's start with just the breath. Traditional pranayama, that's the structured alternate nostril breathing, is ideally meant to be practiced 4 times a day. You're supposed to do it at key junctions of the day, like sunrise, noon, sunset, and midnight. 4 separate sessions, every single day. But it goes much deeper than that. The energy work, what we call kriya, is really the core for advanced practitioners. It's how you learn to control and circulate your life force energy. And ideally, the books say that requires a full 3 hours, every day. This is the kind of work that forms the foundation of my bioenergy healing practice. So let's just add this up for a second. You've got your warm-ups, at least an hour of postures, those 4 daily breathing sessions, 3 hours of that deep energy work, and then, on top of all that, another 3 hours for meditation. When you see it all laid out, the ideal practice starts to look less like a wellness routine and more like a full-time job, right? And that right there is a huge, huge barrier for most of us.
So, what happens when this classical, perfect ideal smashes head-on into the reality of a 21st century life, with careers and families and all the responsibilities we have? Well, what you get is a compromise. It has to be a compromise.
I can speak to this from personal experience. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 30 years, alongside my practice. And I'm telling you, this feeling of never having enough time, it's not a personal failure. It's just the simple reality for so many of us. The day feels full before it even starts. And this is the reality check. This is an honest look at my own daily negotiation. That ideal 3 hours of energy work, on a busy day, it becomes 30, maybe 45 minutes. 3 hours of meditation, sometimes it's a real struggle to get in just 1. An hour of postures might just be 20 minutes. This really shows a key principle I live by. Consistency will always be more important than perfection.
This constant back and forth between the ideal and the real, it actually leads to a really powerful and frankly, liberating shift in how you think about all this. It's about moving away from that rigid all-or-nothing mindset and embracing a philosophy that focuses on what's practical and what's sustainable for you. Right here, right now. My philosophy, after all these years, really boils down to 3 simple ideas. First, focus on application. Ask yourself, what will actually make my daily life better? Second, look for tangible, short-term benefits. You need to see results to stay motivated. And third, be absolutely ruthless with your time. Always be willing to adjust your routine to fit your life, not the other way around.
And this really captures the core idea perfectly. Relevance is so much more valuable than rigidity. What you needed a year ago might not be what you need today. The goal is to have a living, breathing practice that evolves with you, not some static set of ancient rules that you just feel guilty for not following perfectly.
So what does all this mean for you? Whether you're just starting out or maybe you're trying to get back on track, it means you have full permission to be the architect of your own practice. The power is truly in your hands. See, the ultimate goal isn't to become a perfect clone of some guru or teacher. Not even me. The goal is to learn from many sources, take what is genuinely beneficial for you, and then weave it all together into a program that is uniquely yours, one that actually serves your life. And the best news is, you don't need to be an expert to get started. Just find a teacher whose approach makes sense to you. Please don't get bogged down in all the complex Sanskrit terms. Just focus on what makes you feel better, calmer, more centered. I promise you, a 20-minute practice that you actually do is infinitely more powerful than a 2-hour practice you never start.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. We so often see these practices as just one more demanding thing on our to-do list. But what if we completely flip that around? What if the goal was to build a toolkit of practices that support the life you already have, making it better from the inside out?
And that's really my mission, to simplify these profound sciences. If this practical approach makes sense to you, I put together a completely free 5-minute yoga and meditation program to get you started. You can find it on my website, yogawellness786.com. That's also where you can learn more about my one-on-one consultations and my bioenergy healing services.
And if you prefer to listen while you're on the go, I also have a podcast where I go deeper into all these topics. You can find it on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you so much for joining me today.